the New York Rangers on flushing $1.6 million down the drain by continuing the miserable career of Jimmy Vesey. No, you know what? You know what? I'm being unfair to him. Instead, I would like to congratulate Jimmy Vesey on successfully scamming the Rangers out of $1.6 million. Well done, Jimmy Vesey. I know you're listening, but I gotta tell you, Jimmy Vesey, you trash. Your game is vanilla. And Rangers fans are all of a sudden loving him when they were trashing on this dude for 3 straight years because he wasn't producing. And just because he started playing well recently doesn't mean that he's going to do that for the rest of the season. This dude, in his last 7 games, is -4 with 0 points. And I encourage you to go to the stat sheets and you will find long stretches of 0 points. The dude is not consistent, but congrats, Jimmy, on your paycheck. You earned it.
Sam, you want me to take that?
Yeah, go ahead, James. I'll hop in after you. I'll let you take that one.
I really don't like, with the exception of Scott Gomez in terms of like Devils history. I've never been a big fan of players playing for both the Devils and the Rangers, even though there have been a lot of big names who have done it. You got Brendan Shanahan, yeah, Mike Rupp, who scored the winner in '03 for the Devils to win the Stanley Cup, but then punched Brodeur in the 2012 playoffs. Uh, Jimmy Vesey's one of those guys. His name may not be as big as some of those others, but I really liked Jimmy Vesey when he was on the New Jersey Devils last season because he filled a void that the Devils had been missing for a while. Probably that they'd been missing since 2018. Guys like Blake Coleman and Stefan Nason, who really stepped up on the bottom in the bottom six and were guys who maybe not maybe Blake Coleman's not a fair comparison because Blake Coleman had a really fair share of goals by the time he really started getting going with the Devils, but Jimmy Vesey was really good on the back end defensively, ate up a lot of penalty kill minutes and went from like his metric stats from 2019 to 2021 are night and day in terms of defensive contribution. And that's what the Rangers brought him in to do. Anything else that they got more was like a pleasant surprise. And the fact that he had some goals and some assists behind him, they were willing to give him a contract long term because as long as he keeps up the defensive stuff, which it looks like he probably will do, he's still going to be a valuable asset for them to have. So I got to give a lot of props to my Harvard man and former Devil, even though I'm usually not a big fan of it. And I think it's a good contract, and it's money really well spent. And even though I've questioned some of the Rangers' front office moves lately, especially with Ryan Reeves going, I know not a lot of people saw that coming. You have a kid line on your team. You're gonna probably want to keep the guy to protect the kids. I don't know. That's why I was confused by that. Just to bring that up because I feel like similarly, you evaluate the front office now. You have to evaluate what they did a few weeks ago. I think the Jimmy Vesey contract is a good decision for them.
I agree. And I know if Lou Orlando was here, he'd be saying the same thing. And he and Nick Palmer would be fighting on air if Lou Orlando was here. So first of all, shout out Lou Orlando for the second time this podcast if you're listening. Second of all, Nick Palmer, you are wrong. I don't understand why you keep going, you are trash. Okay, do not make that face. There are so many players in this entire league who have gone through droughts. And look, I'm the first to admit when I'm wrong. I've done it multiple times on this podcast. I will do it again in the future on this podcast. Maybe I'm wrong about this one, but we have seen so much out of VC this year, and watching him in person at games, even if he's not getting his name on the stat sheet in that way, even if he's not, getting those points, he has been such a huge defensive part of this team, and he's been great on the penalty kill for them. He's carved out his spot on that PK unit. And look, he's really fun to watch, first of all, but he's also very powerful when you watch him. I like how physical he is. I like how he's not afraid to get in there when he needs to. He's a great defensive player. Sure, he's not getting the points that Fox is or something like that, but I don't think that's what they brought him in to do, and I think that's why they've re-signed this contract with him is they weren't expecting him to outscore Mika or Panarin or anything like that. They were expecting him to come in, be a solid two-way player, and he's done just that. So I don't want to hear you saying he's trash. I want to hear some congratulations because you know what? If Matt Barzal or if someone like that got a contract extension, I would be saying that's a great choice for them. So you are entitled to all of your opinions. And I am so happy that we have different opinions on this podcast, because that is what makes it so freaking fun. But I respectfully disagree with you, even though I respect you as a hockey connoisseur.
There was never a loss of respect in this conversation. I want that to be on the air. There was never any lost respect between any of your 5-on-3 hosts. Yeah, I'll accept that argument. But when he was being drafted, that's not, what people saw in Jimmy Vesey. So no matter what you sort of like what he's become, you're still not going to get the value that was supposed to come out of him. So I'm viewing it as sort of a long-term lens, saying, is Jimmy Vesey you know what? He's making $1.6 million. I'm not. Congratulations, Jimmy Vesey, on your 2 years with the New York Rangers. I hope you do well.